You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and look, let's get straight into it this week. I'm sorry if any of you are new listeners to this show. Welcome to you. Thank you very much for coming along. Bienvenue, willkommen, sorry if you're actually looking for the Comedy Club for Squids. That is next door on the left. But if you are new, you might not be aware that Linda has been part of Radio Nonsense for a very, very long time, even though she's never actually shown up and definitely never, ever made me a coffee. In fact, it's probably more accurate to say that Linda has not been a part of Radio Nonsense for a very, very long time, while she has also been a part of Radio Nonsense. Is a constant mystery where Linda is, as all of the regular listeners know, even though I'm sure she's here somewhere, or somewhere. But this week, I have had this message sent in by Ava. Is Linda a myth and only comes out at your other podcast because she's a myth? I may have sent this already, but is Linda a myth and only shows up at Trust or Bust, Spooky Stories, your other podcast, because she is a myth, and not saying the myths you do are not true, so if you go on the bus side, she'll show up on this podcast instead of you? Wow. Okay, Ava, that is a revelation and something I have to say I hadn't thought of before. So, for all the listeners who don't know, I also do a podcast called Bust or Trust, a kids mystery podcast, which is all about mysteries. And I have to say, I do wish it was called Trust or Bust Spooky Stories. Now, thanks, Ava. That is a much better title. But it seems that Linda might never be here because she is in fact a myth that I should be researching on that podcast. Linda, what do you think, Linda? Are you a myth from the Comedy Club for Myths? Well, I should have known. Well, I guess if she won't reply, then there's only one thing for it, isn't there? I better combine the podcasts I do and do a Bust or Trust episode of Radio Nonsense. Welcome to Nonsense or Trust. Or is it Bust or Nonsense? Or is it Radio Bonsense? Or Bonsense or Nust? A Comedy Club for Kids mystery podcast. I'm Tiernan, and this week, just by myself, I am investigating the case of the missing Linda. That's right, it's the famous case of Linda, who's never bought me a coffee since 2020, even though I've asked her loads. And I'm sure she works for me, but she might also not exist, but maybe she does. What do you think, listeners, chief detectives? Do you think Linda is real or not? Time for the first piece of evidence. The first piece of evidence is this message from Una. Una says, I saw Linda. She has a donut shop in Cambridge, MA in the US. Here are some really nice fragrant hippos to cover the stinky hippos scent. Well, firstly, thanks, Una. That's very lovely of you to send the fragrant hippos. But as you know, stinky hippos are so stinky. Now all that's happened is the fragrant hippos have made it smell like someone sprayed perfume at a fart. You know when that happens, like when someone's sick at school and they try and cover it up with sawdust or something, but then it just smells like sawdust covered sick, and it is still not very nice. But thank you. It's the thought that counts, Una. Thank you very much. Secondly, Linda is in Cambridge, MA, which I think means the mum of all Cambridges, right? It's Cambridge Ma? That's right, isn't it? I'm sure some sensible people probably say it means Massachusetts or something. I'm pretty sure she's in the Cambridge Ma. And she has a donut shop. Then she must do coffee. Donut shops always have coffee, right? So why hasn't she brought me any? Or any donuts? Or is the coffee shop / donut shop a myth as well? And it was only a few weeks ago that someone said Linda was doing an art exhibition in Australia, and before that she was a robot apparently. So does every country have its own Linda? And if so, where is the Comedy Club for Kids Linda? Okay, time for the second piece of evidence. And the second piece of evidence has been sent in by Oscar. Oscar says, I saw a wabub. What? The terrifying wabub? Well, that's supposedly only a legend, isn't it, Oscar? Where did you see it? That must be definitive proof that it exists, that you have seen the wabub. I wish you could have told me more, and I hope you were wearing the correct disguise of a turnip on your head and a fake moustache to protect you from its horrible sneezing fits. Its ghastly, awful, nightmarish sneezing fits. The legends say if you get too close, it'll do a sneeze right in your face, and it takes 2 weeks to wipe off all the snot. So I hope that didn't happen to you. And while I guess that is quite amazing that you've seen a wabub, it doesn't really help with working out if Linda is real or a myth, does it? Unless Linda is also a wabub. But if Linda is a wabub, how is she running a donut shop? Surely the sneezing would make that hard, unless everyone likes donuts that have been sneezed on. Well, Chief Detectives, when you see piece of evidence number 3, it shows that Linda can't just be a myth. The third piece of evidence is from Laughing Ninja, a regular contributor to this show. And they say, "Hello, this is Laughing Ninja. This is one of the most amazing good podcasts. Yes, that is what you call them. I have done some very extensive research into Lemons Are Us. Lemons Are Us have a website where it clearly states Tiernan must only be given yellow potatoes. This is very interesting, but even so, there are more things to say on the websites. You can buy lots of things such as lemon Nerf guns and lemon swords and also lemon blenders for lemons. It's amazingly amazing. Please check it out, Tiernan." Well, thanks, Laughing Ninja. I will check it out, but hang on a second. Why do Lemons R Us only give me potatoes painted yellow? Why don't they have that rule for anyone else? What have I done to deserve that? And anyway, isn't this case the mysterious case of Linda? Not Lemons R Us and why they're just the worst shop in the world? What did that have to do with Linda? Unless Linda runs Lemons R Us. Maybe this means she's my arch nemesis, and it's always been her plan to never show up because she's too busy sending stinky hippos or painting potatoes yellow to look like lemons. Now, this is where on Bust or Trust, I would say it's up to you, Chief Detectives, to decide, but I can't help but feel I'm still missing some of this puzzle about Linda. This case isn't quite over yet. Okay, well, if you have any more ideas about where Linda is or isn't, or you have a question that you need to have answered, then please get your mewling numpties, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. Or you can get in touch at the Spotify Q&A for each episode. And if those same grown-ups fancy helping support this show, they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition, which is just like this one, but it has no adverts and no Linda, and it comes out one day earlier too. And they can find that at Apple Podcasts, Patreon or Acast+. And also, please do check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk for the details of all the live shows that we do all around the UK and sometimes even abroad. And you should also really give Bust or Trust a kids mystery podcast a listen, because it's really good fun, and we deal with different mysteries every episode, and there's always a silly sketch too. And if this was a proper crossover episode, a proper radio Bonsense, nonsense and trust, or whatever we would call it, then I would be able to get my co-host Athena Kugblenu to help solve the mystery of where Linda is. But sadly, she's not here, much like Linda. Curious. Oh well, I guess I just have to solve this case by myself and make do with this most important to spit. Back on Radio Nonsense, it's the amazing Athena Kugblenu, aka Athena, who refuses to have a chat with a hyena, aka Atty Kugs, enlightened guru of shrugs, or as all of our creaky door listeners know you, But, Athena, you are very well known for being the first human to be elected as mayor of all things that go bump in the night, for your brilliant invention of the world's first anti-vacuum cleaner that just sprays dirt everywhere, and, of course, most famously, for your extensive work helping the world's top spy agencies to spot when suspicious people are actually just 6 weasels balanced on top of each other in a big coat and hat. Athena, it's so nice to have you back. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just, you're looking a bit weaselly now, though, right now. I'm looking at you through an online meeting, and I can't see you. I can see 6 weasels stacked on top of each other on a hat. These weasels are getting cheeky, you know. They're getting cheeky because they have now assumed your identity, and they're trying to trick me.
Hang on, Athena. Listen, I appreciate your vigilance. I just need to hang on. Sorry, Bob, Steve, Susan, Jessica, Claire, Mary, Estelle. Can you just go away, please? Sorry, they were standing in front of me. I do apologise. They're my
Oh,
stand-in weasels
oh,
in case the
okay.
guest isn't who the guest says they are, and it's
Right,
like a
got ya.
safety. I use it as a safety thing. I'm very sorry about that.
That's a very dangerous thing to do around me because I could have sent the people in to your home to
Mm.
arrest you and arrest the weasels and you'd have to go into like an interview room and there's good cop bad cop and it's not nice. You know you'd end up telling them all your secrets like where you keep your pebbles and things like
Oh,
that. So what a relief! You'll never have to reveal where you keep your pebbles. What a relief for everybody all round.
that is a big relief because
Yeah.
I would never. I don't know if I'd reveal. I think they'd have to. I don't know what kind of tactics they'd have to use because I would not reveal where those pebbles are. I think it's one of my greatest secrets.
They're so good. They tickle your ears.
Oh no. I
Yeah.
didn't think they'd do that.
With a
That's
variety of things. So they'll start off with the cotton buds, but then they move up to the felt tip pen. And
oh
once you're on the felt
no.
tip pen, you're going to be spilling your guts with truth.
That
Oh yeah,
is
it's dangerous.
that is awful. And what happens to the weasels get interrogated as well because I don't know what they would say.
Do you know how you interrogate a weasel?
Go on.
You put them in a box. They hate boxes. Yeah,
Is that
you put them
it?
in a box. Yeah, well, you individual boxes, and you a bit like you're sending a parcel. You know when you like buy something off online and you send it
Mm.
back because it doesn't fit, and it's a bit like that. You just it's just like it's I'd like a lot of people think. Wow, is you just do you close the box the way you just normally close a box? That doesn't sound right to me, but there's only one way to close a box really. But what's weird is that there's a weasel in it. That's the odd bit. Don't concentrate on the
Sure, sure.
taping of the box bit. Concentrate on the fact there's a weasel, a naughty weasel that needs to be interrogated in the box. That's the
Wow.
most important thing.
I mean, what you told me there as well is that obviously that you know how to interrogate weasels, which is very necessary for your job. But also, you've just showed that that deliver a weasel service is very wrong and very cruel. And I thought people I know everywhere they're sort of delivering weasels and get it done within the same day or within a week. And actually, the whole process, that weasel shouldn't be coming in a box.
Well, actually, it's not cruel at all. We put a hole in the box so the weasel can
Oh,
breathe.
okay.
I don't know where you're getting that it's cruel and unkind. You're getting a bit woke there, Tiernan.
Hang on a second.
You little snowflake.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Are you behind the deliver a weasel service as well as the weasel interrogation service?
Yeah, I'm actually a weasel expert. I can do all kinds of things with weasels. I can deliver them, I can interrogate them, I can spot them when they're being used as secret disguises for nefarious and improper things. I'm really good with grooming weasels too. I offer a
Oh
lovely
wow.
weasel haircut service where we make them look. You bring in your weasel and then leave that weasel with me. When you come back to pick out the weasel, you don't recognize the weasel. The weasel looks
Wow.
fantastic. Yeah, we get that coat looking nice and velvety, and we put bows on them, and we do their nails and stuff. It's like a weasel spa
Wow.
day for weasels. We do weasel hen and stag do's. So when weasels get married, we offer package holidays for our weasels.
Right.
That is
Right.
weasel appropriate because obviously the human stag do's and hen do's and weasel stag do's and hen do's are obviously like they're different. Weasels
Of
require
course.
different
Yeah.
things. They require mud and things to dig trenches in and things
Sure.
like that.
Sure.
We do weasel birthdays too, bar mitzvahs, yeah, all kinds of events for weasels really. We take all major life stones are covered for weasels in my company, all of them.
That's very lovely. I do have some. Are they called Hindus when it's weasels? Because don't weasels like attack chickens?
We do attack chickens, and you are right to say that. Obviously, we call them hen do's. Weasels call them fox do's.
Right. Right.
Um,
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
weasels
Yeah.
hate foxes.
Oh.
Weasels think they should be where foxes are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
think about
Right.
it.
Got
There's
it.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. There's all kinds of things to do with foxes. There's a fox
Yeah.
from that old version of Wuthering Hood that's really
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
And
fox.
there's,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of foxes. There's the fox in Chicken Run, and there's all kinds of things to do with foxes and fox characters. And there's nothing for weasels. But weasels are
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. We're way funnier than foxes. All foxes do is eat your bins. Do you ever go to your bins and see a weasel? No, but
No.
what thanks
No.
do they get for it? Exactly. So they call them
Yeah.
fox dudes because they hate foxes.
Well, I get that. I get that, and I think it is unfair. Foxes do get it's because they've got those lovely tails, and weasels don't have those lovely tails, and
Well, do you know
you know.
something? I don't know if the people listening have seen a fox recently. It's been a long time since I've seen a fox with a bushy tail. Do you know what I mean? I look at Basil
Mm.
Brush now, and I think those are days gone by. They don't make them like that anymore. Like
Yeah.
every fox I see is very fat because they get a lot of food, but there's no tail, and I don't
Ah,
understand it. I don't
very
know what's happened
weird.
to foxtails. They're not bushy anymore. Even
No,
squirrels
that's
are getting a bit mangy. I don't know. I just think the natural world needs to keep it up. The thing about the natural world is it needs to up its game because if you're not looking
yeah.
cute, you're gone. The pandas knew. The pandas knew. They were like, oh, if we're
Mm,
going to be safe from extinction, we better go down this slide and look happy about it. We better roll about and look cute and cuddly because the
yeah.
humans will help us. These squirrels and these foxes are doing nothing to preserve themselves in our affections.
I look.
Just my opinion.
I'm not going to suggest that you're trying to get more business here, but are you recommending those other woodland animals come to your spa service as well?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's for
Mm,
their own good that they get a cut and blow dry. So the next time they go through someone's bins, or the next time they're in an alleyway and someone screams, they will know that that person is on the inside thinking, "What a beautiful animal," and I must
yeah.
dedicate my life to preserving its existence on the planet.
Yeah, I dare say people will be thinking, do you know what, we need to get nicer bins. If animals like this are going in them, it's not fair to that animal. We need a nicer, more luxury bin to treat this
Yeah,
animal right.
fine
Yeah,
dining, napkins, knife and fork, little plates, little
yeah,
eating bowls, absolutely. And maybe we could separate our waste so they would just know what they was getting. So like the
yeah,
bananas, the eggshells,
yeah.
the plastics, the cardboard. Like how you separate your recycling, you separate,
Yes.
it's you know what it's like tapas,
Yeah,
fox
that's a nice way
tapas.
to look
Yeah.
at it, actually. Yeah, sort of, yeah. A lovely kind of rubbish tapas.
A
That's
bento
nice.
box for like it's
Bento
sashimi.
box for a fox.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
nice line right there. I like that. Yeah. I think that I do have, like, I would never question your professionalism because you're one of the most professional guests we ever have on this show. But you're looking for weasels that are that are disguised, and at the same time you're giving them haircuts to make them look like they didn't look before. Are you causing yourself problems by disguising the weasels once you've caught them and then having to go out and recatch them?
Tiernan. Okay. There's something you need to understand. Dressing
Mm,
up in a disguise to look different than you actually look to
mm.
cause trouble is different to getting your eyebrows done. Okay. One
Sure, sure,
thing
sure.
accentuates and enhances your actual look. So what we don't
Right.
do is get a weasel to come in called Tony and have him leave being a weasel called Wayne. Tony will always look like Tony, but the first Tony looks a bit messy. The second Tony you'd give a job to. You'd be like, oh yeah,
Sure,
Tony,
sure.
you got the job, you look great. Whereas the evil weasels, there's actually a different agency. It's called the Weasel Disguise Agency. It's like a fancy
Right,
dress
right,
shop for
right,
weasels, right? And
right.
we don't like them actually. Every time we drive past them, we boo, and we go
Wow.
boo down with the
That's
because
wow.
they're making. I mean, it's there's two ways to look at it. The Weasel Disguise Agency is giving me work because they're making
Mm,
disguises for the weasels. I get gainful employment looking for six weasels on top of each other in disguise. Okay.
mm,
However,
mm.
because they're doing that, there are weasels running around this world all over, causing all kinds of trouble. All kinds of trouble. Okay. You
Yeah.
can't imagine the trouble these weasels are causing. Okay. So just to be clear and just to reiterate, in case you didn't catch it, I make weasels look their best so they can be their best. Okay. The
Sure,
Weasel
sure.
Disguise Agency disguises weasels so they can stand on top of each other, six in a line, and cause trouble. Okay. And that's not
Right,
what I
sure,
do.
sure.
And it sounds
Yeah.
like you're accusing me of doing that actually, Tin, and actually
I,
it
I
sounds like
wasn't
you're
accusing you. It
Mm,
was more that you said you
okay.
make weasels look like they'd never looked before, and I was worried and perhaps confused that maybe they were then disguised, which is then of course the same thing you were looking for. But I understand it's not a disguise. It is just that those weasels, Tony looks like fancy Tony. It's not evil Tony and his five mates hiding in a jacket, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get that
man.
now. That's yeah,
Weasels scrub up well. You wouldn't believe
yeah,
how well
yeah.
a weasel can
I
scrub up.
bet, I bet, yeah.
Much nicer than like other animals. We tried doing other animals, and a sheep always looks like a sheep. I don't know, like
Mm,
you can shave it, but it's just a sheep. You can't really
mm.
make a sheep look as good as a weasel.
Yeah, that's
We
true,
did
isn't
a
it?
lot
No
of
matter what
product
colour it's sheep,
testing.
you can
Yeah, it's
like
just a
dye
sheep.
a sheep green and it still looks like it's just a green
Cows.
sheep. Yeah,
We tried cows, and cows just look like cows. But we put a bow tie on a
yeah.
weasel, and that weasel will turn your head. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I have to say, this evil disguise weasel agency, not weevil agency. That's a very different.
No, it's a
Apologies
different
to the
thing.
weevil
Yeah.
agencies. I don't want to insult them. They do a very good job helping weevils, back into their normal lives and find sort of gainful employment. But the evil weasel agency, why is it they always choose a long sort of beige Mac and a trilby hat? why is it they never think of any other disguise? Because it
You're
does
right
feel
to
like,
ask.
the weasels would get away with more disguises if they were perhaps wearing some different ones.
Pockets. Weasels need to carry lots of things. The usual stuff: keys, mobile phone, wallet, jelly beans. Everyone knows weasels love a jelly bean. Notepad and pen. Troublemaking devices. They've got troublemaking devices as well. Things that go ping. And think, what did you ever like go out, leave the house and think that's a strange noise, and that strange noise bothers you the whole day? That's a
Yeah, yeah.
weasel. That's six weasels following you around with a troublemaker machine making a strange noise to bother you
That's
the whole
so
day.
annoying. That happened
Yeah,
to me
it's
the other
so
day.
annoying. That was a weasel, right? Now you might be thinking,
Unbelievable.
you might have turned around and seen like a tall person in a Mac and thought, oh, there's a tall person in a Mac causing trouble. But they're too busy causing trouble to be making that noise. Does that make sense? It's like a double bluff.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
use the uniform of a troublemaker to make you think it's not that person being a troublemaker. Because
Oh, that's
obviously, if
so
you're going to make
confusing.
trouble, you wouldn't dress like a troublemaker because that would be obvious. So what you do is you dress like a troublemaker, so no one thinks you're a troublemaker because no one who wants to be a troublemaker dresses like one.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, wow, that's really opened my eyes actually. So now I've got
Yeah.
to keep my eye out for troublemakers because they are actual troublemakers disguised as troublemakers causing trouble, and not just
Yeah.
troublemakers going about their day. Wow,
Yeah, the other thing is
wow.
what they come out really well in the wash, those coats.
Oh, sure,
And
yeah,
yeah, they're really easy. They're really because they're mostly cotton and they're quite thin and they dry really
yeah.
quickly. So you can imagine six weasels in a coat get kind of mucky in there. You know what I mean?
That's gonna be
They still
horrible.
like to scratch around in the mud so that you can wash that at 30 degrees, and that comes out
That's
clean.
very good.
So it's practical as well.
That's very fair. That's very fair. And I mean, who wouldn't want to wear a trilby hat? It makes you look like a detective. So I just sort of feel like really everyone should wear those.
Well, I'll tell you what, the amount of people who ask these weasels for help, thinking that they're talking to a detective, but really they're talking to a weasel, it's quite remarkable, and that's why we exist to make sure that when you go to a person in a Twilby hat and a long beige Mac, it is an actual detective and not six weasels stood on each other's shoulders trying to
Yeah.
steal your wallet.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Do you find there's a problem where, because obviously you work with agencies, do you
Mm.
find there's a problem where certain detectives are trying to investigate which weasels are weasels in long jackets and hats, but then obviously they get sort of confused? Do they ever think that maybe they're weasels, but and not a detective? Is there an identity crisis that goes on?
There's a massive identity crisis within the crime fighting community right now. Because obviously, if you go to arrest someone and you tap them on that thing where you tap someone on the shoulder and they turn around
Yes.
and they look exactly like you, you'd be surprised how many detectives happen to look like weasels as well.
Yeah.
As they resemble detectives more because they tried being firefighters, but they don't like firefighters. They tried working in supermarkets at the checkout. They don't really look like that. They tried being dustbin men or people, and that didn't work out. They tried being police officers. That didn't actually work. You have to specify. It's very specific here. They're detectives, not police officers. Yeah.
Yeah,
They tried
sure,
giving
sure.
out parking tickets, and people were like, "You're a weasel. I'm not giving you my money," and they were like, "Fair play, I'm a weasel." So they tried all
Yeah.
these other jobs.
Yeah.
Then they realized when they pretended to be detectives, people were like, "Oh, thank goodness this detective is on the case. My crime's going to get solved." And that's when it was like a light bulb moment. They were like, "This is the human job we are gonna replicate to cause trouble." And then that
Wow.
obviously confused the other detectives who now are like they have detective meetings and half those people are weasels and they don't. It's very impolite to accuse somebody of being a weasel as well. Did you know this? So if
Right.
I like this, we started this episode off and I accused you of being a weasel
You
or
did,
being
yeah, I
six
remember that,
weasels,
yeah.
and to be honest, I've been trying to swallow down the embarrassment this whole time because it's the worst thing in the world to accuse someone of being six weasels stood on each other's shoulders when they're not. So most of the time in these and they have meetings, they go out for lunches, they have away days, they build rafts and things like that. The kind of things you do, team building things, okay.
Sure, sure,
And
yeah,
there's
yeah.
probably it's riddled with weasels, but it's impolite to accuse someone of being six weasels. So sometimes you might suspect it, but you never say it in case it's rude and you're
Yeah,
wrong.
that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, to be fair, I was six weasels in a hat. Well, they were in front of me, so you weren't wrong, and I
Oh,
didn't take offence because you correctly spotted those weasels in a hat. It just so happened I was sitting behind them. So
Oh, what a relief! What a relief! Oh, what a relief! I
yeah,
can breathe easily now.
I will
Yeah.
stop doing that in future. You are absolutely right. Well, I mean, listen, Athena, it's we're so lucky to have your expertise on the show. I'm always grateful that you take time out of all the important things that you do, particularly at the moment with your weasel detective work. I've got in fact, I've sort of got two questions that have been sent in that I think you are the person that can answer them. But I just wondered how you feel about a couple of admin questions before we get to those.
Yeah, I like admin. Admin is my favorite thing in the world. I
Is
don't
it?
think there's enough admin. There's not enough admin in this world. More paperwork, please.
So
More
it's your
paperwork, more
favourite thing in the
forms.
world, like more than like spaghetti?
More than spaghetti, more than crinkle cut chips. I like it
Wow.
more than mushed up peas in
Wow.
gravy. I like it I like it more than like ice cream cones without the ice cream, which is the best way to have an ice cream cone without the ice cream. It's like a kind of a cup. It's like a biscuit cup. People don't
Sure, sure.
appreciate this enough. Imagine being able to eat your cup. You can eat an ice
Yeah,
cream cone. You just eat in your cup. So I like it more. I like it more than admin more than all those things.
that's amazing. And you've also made me realise that I need to start pouring more, like, sort of, when I want a drink of squash, I should pour it in an ice cream cone, shouldn't I?
Yeah, drink it quickly, but then once you
Yeah,
drunk it quickly, you can eat your cup. This
that's
is really
very
fun.
good. Hot cup of
Yeah.
tea, does that work?
Oh, drink that quickly too.
Sure,
So when
sure.
once you finish that tea really quickly, you got to eat your cup really quickly, and that's good because the cup helps cool the burns in your mouth that
That's
you would
nice,
have
nice, great.
acquired
I'm gonna
from
give it a try.
drinking
Thank
tea.
you. Well, I'm pleased you like admin that much. I can't quite believe you like it more than crinkle cut chips, personally. But that's fair. Each to their own. And I've got two admin questions. I think the second one is harder, and if you need to take more time over it, that I do understand. The first question, though, quite simply, is what is this?
What is this? What is it's that? That's what this is. This is that. Okay, and I think a lot of people confuse this with something else or the other thing. What is
Yeah.
this? This is that thing over there. And you know what you got to do with it?
No, no, no. I have no idea what to do with it at all.
What this is something you've got to take apart and put back together again. Okay?
Right.
So that's a very important question. A lot of people, I get asked, you'd be surprised how often people come up to me and say, "What is this?" I say,
Yeah.
"It's something that you've got to take apart and put back together again." Okay, and that applies to, like, think about it. You're going through life. What do you do? You take things apart and you put them back together again.
Sure.
And
Sure.
that's what I do with these weasels that come in. They need a makeover, for example. I take them apart, and not literally. I don't like
Right. Sure. I
tear
was
them
going to
up.
say because that sounds
No,
awful. Yeah. Right.
no,
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
it's more of a kind of a metaphorical thing. But it's really good that somebody asked, "What is this?" Because the amount of times people don't ask the question and they guess what this is and they
Yeah.
mess it up. Oh, ridiculous! So what is this? It's that thing over there that you've got to take apart and put back together again.
Right, because that's really helpful. Because often I do think, "What is this?" And I think, "Well, this is this." I don't think this is that. I
No,
often
it's
think
definitely
that
that
is
thing.
something
It's
else,
no, it's
and that's
definitely
that's
that.
confusing. Right?
No,
Sure.
no, no, no. It's
Sure.
not confusing at all. What is this? This is that thing that is there,
Sure.
but not
Oh,
that thing that's not there. It's the thing that
yeah.
is there.
Sure. Sure. And it's not that thing over there. It's that thing there.
It's that thing there that
Yeah.
is
Not
there.
that thing
And
over there
yeah.
next to the other thing,
No, that's not
or
what
that
that is,
thing
Tiernan. Oh
over there
my
by the
God.
tree. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Why would you think it's that when it's this?
Well, that's what I was because I thought it was this and not that, and that's where I got confused.
No, no, it's that, not this.
Yes. Right. I got it. So it's that, not this, and
Yes.
this thing is that. That makes sense
No,
to
no,
me.
this thing is that thing that's there.
This is that thing that's there. Right, great.
Yes.
Thank you. That makes that makes sense to me.
It makes perfect sense. This makes
Yes.
perfect sense to me too.
My
That
my
thing.
other question: how do I take it apart? I can't see. Has it got like a little latch, or is it just a?
Well, you take it apart using that thing. So you take that thing apart using the thing that's that thing over
Oh,
there. But-
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's
Okay.
all, that's how it all goes together. So that thing is used by that thing. So you
Yeah.
use this thing to take that thing apart, and that's what this
Yeah.
is.
I have to say it's very difficult. They don't come with instructions. I'm sure
No,
things like this and that used to come with instructions.
they did used to come with instructions, but then we got so good at working out
Hmm.
what this is, we didn't need the instructions. And I think all we've done is we've just forgotten to pass down through the generations the instructions, by speaking the instructions out loud.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
I
it's
don't want to have to go on YouTube and watch a video of someone opening this thing up and that thing up just so I can see how it's done. It's boring.
it is boring, but then if you don't go on YouTube to learn, then how will the next generation know what this is? And
Yeah,
and that has resulted in somebody asking this question, what is this? That question should never have been answered because they should already know what this is, because this is that thing over there. Like, you should know. And
Yeah,
so
that's
it's a real
true.
shame. So I think we, as grown-ups, need to take it upon ourselves to go onto YouTube and get the instructions for that thing, which is the thing we use to use that thing for, and this thing is how we use that thing, and that's what this is. And then that
Right.
way, we don't get asked these quite simple questions that people should know the answers to. I mean, this is on us. We have let the next generation
Yeah.
down. Truly,
Th-
that makes me so
so,
sad.
hang on, this is on us or that is on us?
This is on that, which is on
Right.
us.
And that is on us,
That is on
which
us,
is
yes.
this.
Which is this, and that is what this
Right.
is.
Right. That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
That makes that. But what was this, which is now that, makes a lot of sense.
Yes, this is that.
Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
That's a big relief, actually. And I'll get on with that later then. In which case, question number two, which I think, I hope you're going to be okay with it. But listen, take your time. Take any time you need with this, Athena. Would you rather every time you made a great sandwich, a seagull took it, or every time you had a brilliant new jumper, a moth ate it?
Oh, so what you're really asking is, do I like seagulls more than I like moths? Okay. Now, this is a real big question because both seagulls and moths have very positive attributes. Okay. They can
Right,
both
right.
fly. Okay. They're both good at flying. So tick. Seagulls are at the seaside and moths are in your house. Which is great because I like going to the seaside and I like being in my house. So tick. But moths like the light, which is a real shame because they shouldn't really like the light because when they go close to light, it's bzzz, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and seagulls like flying above the sea, which is it's a hard one, and it's like, ah, I I think I would like to make my favorite sandwich, the best sandwich ever, and give it to a seagull. I'd prefer that than feeding my favorite jumper to the moth. Because
Sure.
if a seagull nicks my sandwich, I'm still wearing my jumper, so I'm still warm and cozy.
Sure.
However, if if a moth eats my jumper, I will still have my sandwich, but I'll be chilly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as we know, the climate is not where it used to be. Our winters, we're in the UK right now, our winters are longer. So I think this is really a question that you answer based on whether you're in like a kind of a temperate climate with lots of rain and wind, or whether you're in like Barbados. If you're in Barbados, give the seagull your sandwich. You're in Barbados, you don't need a jumper. You know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think
However,
that's
yeah,
yeah, sensible.
but
I mean, I suppose it is, but it is. It's every time you make a great sandwich, a seagull takes it. So no matter where you are, that seagull's going to take your sandwich every
well,
time you're like, this sandwich looks great. Or it's every time you have a brilliant new jumper, a moth eats it. But then I guess if you are in a climate where you don't need a jumper and you choose the jumper, then you still get your sandwiches, and there's nothing for those moths to eat.
oh, here's what you do. You've got to outsmart the seagull. Now, not many people can outsmart a seagull. Seagulls are
Right.
very clever, but guess what? I'm cleverer. So
Right.
I make I make a really great sandwich, yeah,
Yeah.
and I make
Yeah.
an okay sandwich. Okay, so what's in a really great sandwich? Maybe cheese, tomatoes, a Kit Kat,
Whoa.
cheese, tomatoes, a Kit Kat, some processed American cheese, and a banana. Okay, that's a really
Wow.
great sandwich right there. Really,
Wow.
really, 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 really tasty, and I cover it in barbecue sauce. Great sandwich. Okay.
Wow.
Then at the same time, I make an okay sandwich, and my okay sandwich has an apple in it. It's just bread, apple,
Right.
bread. That's an
Have you
okay
cut?
sandwich.
Can I ask, have you cut the apple up, or have you just put it in there whole?
No, it's just a whole It's just a whole
Right. Sure.
apple
Sure.
in the. It's an apple sandwich tin, and you know what an apple
Sure. Sure.
sandwich
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Of course.
Um,
Of course. I just not had one in a while. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then what I do is let the seagull take the great sandwich, and I just think, well, you know what, having an okay sandwich is fine. When you think about it, if someone said to you, "Would you like an okay sandwich?" You'd probably say yes, right? So the seagull gets the great sandwich, and I accept that my great sandwich has gone to a seagull. But I look at my okay sandwich, and I feel this tastes of victory because I've outsmarted the seagull. So
Sure.
that's
Sure.
how that's
Yeah.
how I deal with that.
I like that. I find apple sandwich. I never quite got that how you hold an apple sandwich because the apple is so round in the middle. And ideally sandwich fillings are sort of flat or squishy so that the sandwich can fit together. And I always found apple sandwiches quite difficult to
Well,
eat.
you've always liked a gummy bear sandwich, haven't you?
I love
And
a
that,
gummy bear
yeah,
sandwich. Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
and that's really because of the how suitable gummies are for lining up a layer of gummy bears. And
Yes,
you could do
absolutely. Yeah.
do you do your gummy bears feet to feet or head to head?
Head to head, so they can have a
Head
little
to
chat.
head. Yeah, well, with jelly babies, I do my jelly baby sandwiches head to head. I think it's nicer. I enjoy the idea of eating jelly babies when their heads are like squished together. It feels
Yes,
juicier for some reason.
yes, yeah. I always worry like where the jelly grown-ups are, because these jelly babies are just sort of, they're out there by themselves getting put in sandwiches.
Where are the jelly grown-ups? They're probably in the factory packing the jelly babies away. It's probably them. The jelly,
Wow,
it's
that's
the jelly
horrible.
grown-ups. It is very horrible, but then, we still eat the jelly babies, so we're complicit.
We
We're
do, and then
complicit.
how do the what is it? The jelly babies that escape that end up becoming jelly grown-ups that end up in the factory, or is there a different
I think what it is the jelly
process? Yeah.
grown-ups are just they're like 300 years old. They just live forever.
Wow,
Because those things don't go off. The sell by date's always like 5 years time. That's because the
that's true, isn't
grown-ups
it?
are really like really old. So I just don't think they need to replicate because they're just really old and that's just how things are. They're like the sun,
Yeah,
It's just they're
yeah,
always there. And
yeah.
the only way we can really liberate jelly babies
Mm.
is by going to the jelly baby factory, and eating the grown-ups. But
Wow,
imagine how tough they are. They're
probably
they're
really
quite
tough.
big.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put them in a baguette maybe, but you couldn't put them in like a proper sandwich.
No, they'd be so chewy. You'd probably be
Oh,
chewing for days, possibly years.
it would be
It
like
would be
chewing a weasel. It would just be like,
it would be like chewing a weasel.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which is not
I
fair for
tried
the
that too
weasel.
before I
Yeah.
started making them over, and I was like, they're not very chewy. Let's just give them a let's just do their
Yeah,
clip their ears, things like that, make them look
yeah.
nice.
That's nice. I think you've come to a better conclusion there. Actually,
Mm,
I don't think people should be going around chewing weasels. It doesn't seem
absolutely
right.
not. I wouldn't recommend it.
Doesn't seem right at all. Wow. Well, well done. I think you really did examine that question properly, and I really appreciate that. And I think you've come to a very good, very sensible answer. Actually, I don't think that was easy at all. So thank you,
It
thank you
was a
for
tough one.
answering.
That was a great question. Thank you for asking. I'll be
No,
thinking about
no.
that question all day.
Good. Please do. And if I don't think you will change your mind, but if you do write in and tell someone, not us, just write to someone else.
I'll write to a weasel friend. I'll
Yeah,
write to a
do
weasel
that.
friend. Yeah,
Do that.
and I'll just say
It's a nice way. It's mainly so then you make pen pals. Then you've got a whole new kind of friendship. I think that's a nice way to do it.
would you want to swap your Mac for your favorite jumper that hasn't been eaten by moths?
Mm.
They might start wearing jumpers. They might think, actually,
That's
I'll start wearing
that's
jumpers.
lovely. That's really lovely. What a lovely idea.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, listen, Athena, we've had this. We've had this question. I say it's a question. It's kind of two questions. It's a bit confusing. I'm going to read you the whole thing because I feel
Okay.
you need to know the context of this whole thing that's been sent in. So it starts with "Hi, I am Gavin," which I feel is a good start. We know who's addressing us. I am Gavin. I'm not 50. I'm 12. Which now I don't know about you. That makes me instantly think they are 50, because you wouldn't say you're not 50. You wouldn't feel the need to say you're not 50 if you weren't 50.
It's very important to clarify
Hmm.
that you're not 50 if you're not 50.
Right,
Because
right.
what you don't want is people talking to you like you're a 50-year-old and they'll say things like, "Oh, have you heard about the latest interest rate rise?" Or
Oh
"What do you
yeah.
think about inflation?" So it's very important that people know you're not 50, so they talk to you about things that you would be interested in and not about things that make you want to fall asleep.
Really, so everyone who's not 50 should be always, and is that even people who are older than 50, so 51, 52, 67, should they always be saying, "I'm not 50, when they
Absolutely,
introduce
because
themselves?
50,
Right.
50 is the age at which people will literally say things to you that you don't want to hear. And then once you
Sure,
turn
sure.
51, it goes back to normal. Everyone knows that. That's 50. It's halfway. It's half of 100. So
Right.
that's what you have to do when you're 50 years old. You have to listen to people talk to you about their how many feelings they had as a child and things like that. And these are very boring conversations. So it's very important that you dodge those conversations
Yeah.
at the first opportunity. So
Wow.
well done,
Wow. So
Gavin.
Gavin is clearly very smart. That we're dealing with someone
Yeah.
very smart here, which I appreciate. So Gavin says, "Hi, I'm Gavin. I'm not 50. I'm 12. I live in Sacramento, CA, which I could be wrong. I think that's California, or it could be cat. He could live in a sort of bird, like a bird's
Pigeon.
nest.
Yeah,
He could live in a
Pigeon
pigeon.
Islands. I've
Yeah.
been Pigeon Island. It's lovely.
Right.
Bit
Well,
slippery,
they.
very
f-
slippery place.
Yeah. Covered in poo. Right.
Covered in it, dripping in it. I thought it was
Wow.
snow. I was gonna go skiing, and they said no, you can't ski in that. It's bird
That's
poo.
that's disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you still go skiing?
Well, I tried, but the problem with skiing is you fall over It's not really
Sure,
fun falling
sure.
over in bird poo.
No, no, it's not, and it's also because yeah, bird poo is bird poo and bird wee at the same time. It's so horrible.
Oh,
It's
I
I
didn't
bet it's
had.
a
Oh,
disgusting, gross thing.
Tiernan, I hadn't thought of that at the time. Now I've got to have another shower.
Yeah,
Oh, I feel
that
itchy.
is horrible. That is horrible. Well, I'm assuming he lives in Sacramento with a pigeon. I think that's what Gavin means, and we'll take from that. So Gavin then says, "Where is Rochdale? And I do not enjoy fried breakfast. Waffles on top." Also, that is my friend's question who wishes to remain anonymous. They just don't have a phone to send the question themselves. Also got another question for you. Why do people in Europe and Australia drive on the left side of the road and people in the United States drive on the right side? So that's the whole thing. I wonder, should we
I
start with the friend's question? I think it's very sweet of Gavin to send a friend's question who is unable to send in a question. But that friend would like to know, where is Rochdale?
Okay, so where is Rochdale? First of all, I take this whole question as a declaration of war on our very British Isles. Okay, first of all, if you don't know where Rochdale is, then what do you know? Everyone knows where Rochdale is.
Everyone knows
Rochdale
what
is
Rochdale
like because you might have to go there, and most
Yeah.
people have to go to Rochdale at least 10 times in their lives. So where is it? It's that place that everyone knows where to go. In fact, did you know that all sat navs are programmed to go to Rochdale automatically? If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
if you open Google Maps, the postcode for Rochdale is there, and if you don't put in a new postcode to go to your car or your plane, because planes fly to Rochdale's too, and your
Yep,
boat
yep,
or your jet ski or your
yep.
hot air balloon, whatever
Or
it is,
your horse always go to.
horse, your
Yep.
whale as well,
Well, yeah,
um, whale, hoverboard,
yeah.
all kinds of your scooter, your bike, they're all pre-programmed to go to Rochdale. All roads, routes, directions lead to Rochdale. And what this person has done has deleted the default postcode in their method of transport, of choosing device
Yeah,
thing, and they've forgotten it. So
yeah,
you can just factory reset your phone or your sat nav, your TomTom. If you're 50, you know what a TomTom is, but you're not 50, Gavin, so you don't.
yeah. So
Um,
don't know. No, it's
so
true for
reset
that.
that,
Yeah,
and that's where Rochdale is, you know.
yeah,
But that's very troubling that this person has deleted that data and doesn't know how to get to Rochdale. So how will you get there when you need to go there? And everyone needs to go there to get to Rochdale.
yeah.
That's
Wherever they are
the
in
whole
the
point.
world, right? Even if you sort of live with a pigeon in Sacramento, you
You've
do
got to
need to go
you've
to
got to go to
Rochdale.
Rochdale to breathe the Rochdale air. Because if you don't breathe the Rochdale air, you get like a persistent cough.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true,
he
isn't it?
obviously hasn't
That is
got a
true.
persistent cough yet, but that is the only thing that can cure persistent coughing is the air of Rochdale. Everyone knows this, and every human has to pass through Rochdale and just breathe in, breathe
Yeah.
out, and then they're sorted. And then you have to top yourself up like it's like an inhaler, but
Yes,
you have to
yes.
go to the inhaler. The inhaler can't come to you. So it's very important that he gets to Rochdale ASAP.
Yeah, that's where you hear people normally between trips to Rochdale and they're like, "Oh, I'm low on Rochdale air. I'm really
Mm.
running low on Rochdale air. We've got to go and top up." And that's a
It's like the
big.
Amazon rainforest, the Amazon. You have the Amazon rain. Everyone knows this. You have the Amazon rainforest, you have the Congo Basin, and you have Rochdale. Those three pillars keep humanity alive. Without those three things, we don't have planet Earth. You know.
Wow,
So
wow.
I'm very
Yeah,
disappointed he's forgotten where Rochdale is. Very disappointing.
because that friend wishes to remain anonymous.
Mm.
And I mean, and also after the Rochdale thing, they've said, and I do not enjoy fried breakfast, waffles on
Well,
top. Is that,
that was that was a declaration of armed conflict. I mean,
right,
come on.
right, sure,
Like,
sure.
you know something? The United Kingdom, Great Britain.
Right, yeah.
Okay, we've spent a long time explaining to people that you eat fried food in the morning. We spent a long time, and I don't know how many times we have to go over this. Get on board the fried food
Yeah.
train. Fry your eggs, fry your bacon, fry your pig's blood to make black pudding.
Yeah. Fry your cereal.
Fry your cereal, fry your
Yeah,
toast,
yeah,
fry your muesli, fry your porridge,
yeah.
fry
Fry your
fry your
soup. Yeah,
fry your soup, fry your
yeah,
apples, bananas, plums, pears, raspberries, strawberries.
yeah.
Fry it
Yogurt.
all,
Yeah.
and yogurt. Oh, you definitely got to deep fry your yogurt and
Deep
stick
fry
it
your
all
yogurt. Yeah,
and stick it all on your plate and eat it for breakfast. Okay, and
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how many times we have to go through that. What I don't know why the planet is resisting the urge to fry things for breakfast. Hash browns, fry your hash
Yeah,
browns, fry your turkeys,
yeah,
fry your steaks, fry it
yeah.
all up. How many times do we have to go through this? Why do
But
we fry things for breakfast? Because that's what you're supposed to do for breakfast.
it's also it
Come
makes
on.
things crispy. Why don't you? I think everything should be crispy. I get really
Mm.
annoyed when things aren't crispy, including things like pillows. Like why isn't a pillow crispy? Why
I
isn't
know.
that
So
sofa crispy? Like just fry
there's
everything.
clothes. I want crispy clothes. There's far too much.
Yes,
There's far too much movement in clothes.
yes.
Clothes should be stiff. And I want to be walking around like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. Like
Mm.
it's all getting out of hand. The softness that people are after.
I agree.
Definitely fry
Yeah.
everything.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I agree. And I feel like when they've said waffles on top, why wouldn't you put waffles on top of a fried breakfast? And then you can make a little box of breakfast. You could
Well, you
use
got
the
to fry
waffles
the
to
waffle
make a little
first.
box,
Is the waffle
fry the
fried? Yeah.
waffles,
Of course.
put the fried waffles on top. And then you got a little breakfast box that you can open up and go, oh, there's a breakfast inside, and
Genius.
you know, or a
Genius,
weasel, I
yeah.
suppose.
I did
Maybe
like the
there's a
waffle on
weasel.
top comment. I think this person was gonna start an argument with us and then thought, oh, let me add the waffle bit just to
Yeah.
let them know because that's fair. But why do we fry our breakfast? Because what else are you doing for breakfast? What are they eating, Tiernan? They're not frying their breakfast. What are they eating? I
I
worry.
don't know. I don't know. Well, you said not to chew weasels. Are they chewing weasels? That's what I'm concerned about. What are they doing? Yeah, it's very worrying. Very worrying.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, but we got. It wasn't Gavin. It wasn't Gavin that asked that question. It
Well,
was the friend.
this person was hiding behind Gavin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they were hiding behind Gavin, which is clever, but also, very not very fair on Gavin. So actually, Gavin, you're a cool guy, but your friend needs to fry more food. Your
Yeah.
friend needs
And go
to
to
fry more food.
Rochdale.
Yeah, and
Go
go
to
to
Rochdale. Yeah.
Rochdale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go to Rochdale.
fry jelly baby, go to Rochdale, read there. That's the
Yeah.
secret
I
to
agree.
happy long life.
I agree. That's what scientists say. That's what all the scientists say.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've heard them. I've heard them.
teachers,
Well.
scientists, all of them.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Lollipop ladies, all of the
Bus
clever people.
drivers.
Yeah,
Yeah, bus
yeah,
drivers, gardeners,
yes, definitely gardeners. Actually, definitely gardeners.
arboriculturists. They know lots because they climb trees. They
Yes,
live
they
in.
do actually. Yeah, people. Do you know what? It's nice. It's nice you've mentioned them. No, I
They
don't think
make
anyone's
mention
ever mentioned
enough.
them.
Not enough people. What do you want to be when you grow up? People say police officer or doctor. They never say I want to climb trees for a living, which is really odd. Surely
Yeah,
you want to climb trees for a job. Like, why would you not
yeah.
want to do that?
Sounds pretty great actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's even squirrels don't want to do it, and you think you're doing it anyway. Why don't
When
you
was the
do it
last time?
professionally?
Yeah, I haven't seen a squirrel climb a tree in ages. It's because
No.
they lost their bushy tail. Because they use their tails to
Oh,
balance.
right, sure, sure. And again,
Yeah.
squirrels, if you do need to check out Athena's sort of spa for woodland creatures,
Yeah,
please do get in
and we offer a
touch.
senior citizens discount, and so that means squirrels over 2 years can get a discount. That makes them
That's nice.
senior. Yeah.
That's really nice. Lovely.
Yeah, it's
Lovely.
generous.
Well, listen, we've answered Gavin's friend's question, but Gavin has also asked himself, Gavin, who is not 50 and is 12, why do people in Europe and Australia drive on the left side of the road and people in the United States drive on the right side?
Oh, well, there's a very interesting story about that. Years and years and years ago, when people around the world were deciding what side of the road to drive on, there was like an arm wrestling match between
Right,
the person from the UK, the person from America, and a person from Australia, and they
right,
basically arm wrestled with both hands, and whichever hand won was the side that you would drive your car on the road. Now, get
right.
this. In the UK and in Australia, the two people, right, they were strongest on their left hand. And they thought, well, we're so strong, we're just going to beat the American guy and we'll all drive on the left and live happily ever after. And that
Yeah,
way, turning left would be easy and turning right would be hard. However, what they didn't think about was that the American, okay, who had a really strong right hand, okay, not only was his right hand really strong, he was also very talkative and engaging. He was a very funny guy. You know what I mean?
sure,
You
sure.
can look
Yeah,
this up
yeah,
on
of
YouTube.
course.
You can actually look this up on YouTube. His humor, okay, he was like telling jokes and
Mm, mm.
and like just tales of days gone by, and he was a very very lovely. He was like Oscar Wilde, really, but it wasn't Oscar Wilde,
Wow.
obviously.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Oscar
That's
Wilde, if
why
you
I was
don't know him, was a
British,
really
yeah.
like British guy. Anyway, so they were too busy laughing to arm wrestle. So even though they were working out in the gym, the guy who had the weaker arm was like just working like on his material and on his charisma. And
Wow.
so exactly, so they went with this massive like arm. It was huge, and they were going to win the arm wrestling match. But unfortunately, they were laughing so much at what this other guy was saying with the strong right arm. The right arm guy won, And so he won the right to allow cars in America to drive on the right hand side and therefore make turning right easy, but turning left hard. And there was nothing they can do because the guy was just so funny and nice, and that was the rule of the time. If you win the arm wrestle, then the arm that wins, that's the side of the road you drive on. So a fateful arm wrestling
Wow.
contest is the
Yeah.
history.
That's wow. That's incredible. That's
Mm.
incredible. I had no idea about that real history of why cars drive on which side of the road. And wow, I really appreciate that because I mean, I was thinking what's interesting is that obviously these countries do they do dive on different sides as well. Actually, which people don't know about. You have to dive on the left side of the sea in Europe and Australia, and on the right side of the sea in the United
Yeah,
States. But of course, if you turn the United States upside down, then they're driving on the left side.
exactly. And many people have tried. And they'll with a big lever, they get a big crowbar and they go to the coast and they try and like get that leverage, get a bit of
Yeah,
purchase on it.
yeah.
But it's a
It's
very
not
difficult
easy.
thing to do. Some people might say it's a waste of time, but it isn't really because it would be really handy if everybody just drove on the same side of the road all over. Do you wanna did you hear about the joke that eventually cracked the British and American
Oh
delegates?
yes, please tell me. Yeah,
Listen so much. It's a really funny joke. You ready for it?
yeah.
It's so
I'm so
funny because
ready.
don't forget, it was so funny that it made two arm wrestlers who were fighting for the rights for everybody's driving the right road laugh so much they lost the match. So are
Wow.
you ready for
Wow.
this?
Yeah, I am. Okay. Cool.
All right.
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. What did the cheese say to itself when it looked in the mirror?
I don't know what did the cheese say to itself when it looked in the
It
mirror.
said it said, "Hello me, hello me, hello
Hello,
me,
me.
hello me."
Wow. Wow.
Some of you might have heard that joke before, but imagine what it was like the first time it was
The
said, and that
very
was the
first
first time
time.
it was said. You know. So
Wow.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it
Wow.
that's definitely on YouTube and Snapchat and MySpace. It's there. It's well documented history.
Wow.
So the
Wow.
very first telling of the halloumi joke is the
Wow.
reason why
I bet
we
that blew
drive on the
minds.
side of the roads.
That's
Yeah,
incredible. That is incredible, and probably also made them
facts.
very hungry too. Yeah. Probably very
Oh, I
hungry.
mean, can you imagine that the minute you get that craving for that savory, salty goodness,
Yeah.
rubbery tastiness, much nicer than a weasel. In fact, to be fair, I might go back to trying weasel again because it has the same texture as halloumi, but not the taste. So
And
if I get a bit of salt on there,
it's
I've got
also.
one in the I've got one in the
Uh,
sunbed right now. I might have a little nibble.
I was going to say halloumi's also quite squeaky. Weasel's also quite squeaky.
Yeah, that's all right. Hold on, Stevie. Just let me just crank up that sunbed. Yeah, just cook a bit more. And
Wow.
I'll give Steve a nibble. See how that
That's
goes.
sure. Do let
Yeah.
us know. Do let us know, or again, just write to someone else entirely. Either way is it would be great. Well,
I'll
listen,
write
thanks,
to
Athena.
anyone.
And yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for answering Gavin's anonymous, slightly suspicious friend's question. That I do worry Gavin's friend is just six weasels in a coat. But we'll wait and see. It was very important questions either way, and I appreciate you answering them. Have you got much coming up ahead now? You got for the next just mainly sort of weasel
I've got
haircuts and
I've got a fair bit coming on actually. Like, so I'm so good at making stuff up. I thought I'd try my hand at not making stuff up. So,
right.
but guess what? Get this. You're gonna love this. I've got a book coming out. Genuinely, true, it's a book, and it isn't nonsense. It's actual real. It's real. Like it's the real stuff that happened.
What?
Yeah. And it's called It's just true. Everyone know I'm telling the truth now. I'm not talking about weasels, although I might be. This might be the weasels talking right now. But
Oh my gosh.
the book is called History's Most Epic Fibs, and it's about all the fibs that have been told in history for like over thousands of years across the world. And we're going through them one by one, and we're basically telling all the kids grown-ups are liars. So
Wow.
we're doing the good work that radio nonsense is undoing. Okay.
Hey, how
Okay.
dare you? There's been lots of very important truths on this podcast, including how the people decide to drive on the sides of the road. These are
Exactly. Well,
important historical truths.
I might have to write a chapter in that book about how somebody's running around telling people that we drive on different sides of the road because of an arm wrestling match. But that's
Sure,
actual
sure.
truth, though. That's not nonsense.
Sure,
That
sure,
really
sure. Yeah.
happened. But there's other people who have made up history and they make it up and they just want for their own nefarious reasons.
Sure,
But
sure.
and so we don't even talk about the lies. We talk about why people might have lied and what they get out of it, and why lying is kind of a human thing. So the best thing you can do is learn how to spot them. rather
Yeah.
than spend your time. But obviously not lie yourself. Like for example, if you're a kid going to bed and you say, "I need a glass of water," no, you don't need a glass of water. Okay, that's a fib in it. It's a
That
fib.
is a fib. That is a
Um,
fib.
yeah.
What's one of the historical cases that that people have fibbed about that you could tell us really quickly?
Oh, I'll tell you a quick one. The Vikings never wore horned helmets.
What?
I sugar you not. They did not. Can you
What?
imagine, man? They never wore helmets like that. But because they made Vikings look really aggressive and cool, lots of Scandinavians thought at the time, let's just keep this up. Also, it's really good shorthand, and what we love is a shortcut as human beings. So if you want to draw a picture of a Viking, you can draw a picture of how they actually looked, but no one would know it's a Viking. Stick a horned helmet on that person,
That's
and
a
you've got a
Viking.
Viking. So
Yeah.
sometimes our insistence on communicating things quickly without having to think too much means that we just invent things just so we can say this is a Viking with a hat, rather than actually teaching people what Vikings look like and drawing that accurately. And that's so. And the same thing happened with Native Americans. The way we think Native Americans dress is not actually how the majority of them dressed, but the feathers and the crossbow was used for shorthand for us, and it was also a very reductive thing to do. So I talk a lot about that. So those are two. Those are and the fibs get bigger. Those are mini fibs. They were bigger
Wow,
fibs.
those are great fibs. I do wonder
Yeah.
if Vikings, like years and years later, finally found a picture someone had drawn and went, "Oh, we should have worn those hats. They look so cool. We
Yeah.
messed it up, guys. We had the worst hats."
I know they
And
just wore
this
like
is
normal round hats. They were really boring.
boring.
But I
That's so
said that, you
boring.
know what, like Vikings used to fight a lot in battle. And if you think about having a fight with someone, having a helmet with horns in it, they'll just grab the helmet. Like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
quite grabbable. So
yeah.
it's not
It'd be good
ideal.
if you were fighting a bull though, or something that you had to charge
Well,
into.
exactly. Unless, of course, you got the horns from that bull's brother, and then that bull
Yeah,
will be like, "Well, give me my horns back. That's my brother's
yeah.
horns. Give them back." So it's a can of worms. It's the
It
proverbial
is a
can
can
of
of
worms.
worms. It's a can
But
of
we go
worms.
into we got a whole bunch of fibs just like that. So things that you think are true are that might not be true. So very
Wow.
exciting. History's most epic fibs. You can get your grown up to go on the interweb and pre-order that, and it'll be out in September.
You absolutely should do that. Fantastic. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you, Athena. Very good luck with the book, and very good luck with the weasel hairdressing.
Thank you.
And thanks again for your fantastic expertise.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I love being an expert here.
Hey, Linda. Yep.
Thanks so much to Athena Kugblenu for joining me again on this podcast too, and for taking time out of spotting weasels in disguise to instead help answer Gavin's question. Gavin, I do hope you liked your answer, and if not, why not write any complaints you have about it in a sandwich, and then a seagull will steal it, and I'll never have to read it. The first of Athena's brilliant kids' books, History's Most Epic Fibs, is going to be out in September, but your grown-ups can pre-order it now, so they should, really. I've popped a link in the podcast blurb where they can do that, or they can just search for Athena Kugblenu, History's Most Epic Fibs. And if you have a question that needs answering, get your mewling numpties, I mean grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. Those same grown-ups can also help support this show by signing up to the advert-free Linda edition at Apple Podcasts, Acast Plus, or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. And I also host the very fun Bustle Trust, a kids mystery podcast with Athena too, so do check that out as well. Now, back to this week's mystery. So, recap. Time for a bit of an evidence recap. Linda has a donut shop in Cambridge, Massachusetts, or Cambridge's mum, I'm not sure. But she's also a robot, has an art exhibition in Australia, and seems to be in a lot of other places all around the world, and sometimes in space. In fact, she's in so many places, except for right here. But she may also be a wabub, and in charge of Lemons Are Us. Is she a myth? I mean, she seems very real to me, in the way that she's really never ever turned up here ever. Oh, listeners, this is really hard. Oh, a new clue. This is from Cool Monkey, who posted this on Apple Podcasts. They say, the best. Please read this out. Hi, I am a kiwi, lemon, apple, watermelon, grape, hedgehog, log, flower, mouse, bunny, pig's nose, penguin, monkey covering its mouth, eagle, monkey, panda, tiger, penguin, gorilla, orangutan, whale, tiger, whale, octopus, gorilla, leaf, Christmas tree, cactus, bluebells, eclipse moon, waning moon, full moon, waning moon. And, oh my goodness, that's a long old name. And I love this show, and I'm the Linda that has been missing. I went on holiday to Turkey, but I'm back, so I'll be arriving at 12 p.m. I love this show. Also, I work at Watermelons Are Us. Bye. What? So Linda is real, and she's been on holiday in Turkey and works at Watermelons Are Us. Well, that's very annoying because I bought a watermelon from there once and it turned out to be a basketball painted green. It was horrible. So I guess so. Linda must be real. And she said she'll be back at 12 p.m. Well, listeners, excitingly, as I'm recording this, it's 11:59 a.m. right now. So I guess Linda should arrive any second now.
Achoo! Wabab! Wabab!
Oh no! Bye! You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents. Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! It's the end.